welcome to the Shine Your Light podcast with myself and Stacy. So on today's show, we have Jules, who's joining us from Southern California. Jules is a musician, a recording artist, and a DJ. He's really plugged in. He's going to be telling us about his recent experience with his medicine journey with ayahuasca.
Jules is also our former classmate from Hogwarts. The Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which is based in Florida. And we met Jules studying energy healing together. So we're very excited to see him today and talk about his medicine journey, as Gil said. He's going to give us a little bit of insight about how it was a life-changing experience for him. And we look forward to journeying deep into the jungles of, I think it was Belize.
Yeah. So welcome, everyone. Let's welcome Jules. And he's also a dear friend of ours. Enjoy. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Don't forget to introduce us.
Yeah. I'll start out with the introductions, right? Stacy Leone, thank you for joining us. Bornstein, and then Jules. I'm gonna really mangle your last name. Do you mind finishing it for me?
Okay, yeah, de Gasperis. I mean, that's the
Gasperis.
Americanized. De Gasperi is in French. De
That's
Gasperi.
much better.
Yeah,
I do like the French, right?
yeah.
It sounds so sweet.
If only it would be easy for Americans to repeat it, but sometimes I just have to make it easier.
De
It's just
Gasperi.
complicated anyway.
It sounds so good when you have the accent in there and just kind of rolls off your tongue.
Mhm.
So real quick in the beginning, Jules.
What's your name?
And my name, gosh, so Gilbert Bovell. Thank you, Stacy, for keeping me on track.
Thank you. I've been really forgetful lately. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So Jules, welcome to Shine Your Light podcast. And
Thank you.
we're so excited that you're here. You're such a great guy, and we're just looking forward to chatting with you for a little bit. And just as an overall theme, so Shine Your Light today is, this podcast is really geared towards learning and just hearing inspirational stories. Learning a little bit about your background, and a lot of the stories that you have are worth hearing and sharing. And we're just looking forward to spending some time with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Gil. I'm really honored to be the first guest, and I'm going to try my best to present some life stories. I don't know if it's that exciting, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, no, we really think very highly of you. Your musical background, and one of the biggest things about what we're looking to talk about and hear is just this overall drumbeat of high vibrational experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Life experiences, spiritual experiences. I've been talking to a lot of people lately, and there's a lot of curiosity about ayahuasca and different forms of mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had an hour-long conversation with a repair person who had taken some mushrooms. I think it was psilocybin, and
Yes.
it just woke him up. And
Mm-hmm.
he's actually on the guest list. So he's going to be one of our guests.
Nice.
Yeah, later on in the podcast library.
Nice.
What a phenomenal experience that he had, and he's really passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Stacy, you're just like the best. Just experiences and high vibrational, just big heart, and you're hysterical. Like such a good sense of humor.
And a great healer. And
And
a great healer.
she's a
And you too, Gil.
phenomenal.
I mean, I think as a side note, I think for the whoever is going to be listening, we should mention that we met at the first year of Barbara Brennan Healing School, and we just formed a cool little trio, I guess. So we became friends right away, and so
We did. Yeah,
yeah.
it all started. That's
Uh-huh.
right. That last week of
Wow.
school.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jules. Yeah, the
Talking
moment
about
we had that first class is just we were meant to meet. I really do
Hmm.
feel just like everything else in life. There's no accidents, and we
Right.
came together, and
Maybe the fact that there's healings happening, between all of us, and we're practicing as energetic healing students, and we all practice with each other, that might create some bonds that are, you know, that are important in life. And I think there's a beautiful portal of the triangle of our three energies opening with this encounter and practicing energetic healing.
Yeah, I love that. Did you say portal?
Hmm. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just saw it as a triangular portal.
Yeah, no, I totally felt that portal like today. Sorry, that's my cat, Clover.
what's your cat's name, Stacey?
Clover. She
Clover.
has a lot to say.
Yeah.
That
Um,
tail is just hysterical. I mean, it's just like it's got such personality.
People
sorry.
are gonna miss the
You're gonna get me in the
view,
eye.
the beautiful cat view for the audio version only.
Sorry, that's what she has to say about what
Oh
I'm going to
yeah.
ask next.
Hey
Um,
Clover.
uh,
So yeah, I mean that
yes,
was just some background, I think, for our listeners.
yeah,
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for bringing that up, Jules. So, obviously we know, but just for anyone that does tune in, the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, it's based down in Florida, but it has school satellite campuses, I guess, throughout the world.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, Japan. I think there's one in Australia, all throughout the United States. It's a global uh, energy
Hmm.
school, and
And one of the oldest established ones, right? Like she's
yeah,
been establishing
the
it in
OGs.
the early 2000s. Yeah, OGs,
it is an
long
OG. It's so
established. Yeah.
um,
I learned that term from Gil. I'm not that cool.
the
Well, you said
OG.
it. You said it. That's what matters.
That's all that matters. Well, Stacy and I sometimes we're the same person anyway.
Yeah.
So you know what? So right now, I was going to actually just kind of go segue from the school into Jules a little bit, and so one of the great things about the Barbara Brennan School is what brings people to the school. And I'll share a little bit about myself, and Stacy, if you want to share a little about yourself as well, and then it'll be a great way to hear a little bit about Jules. But for me, the Barbara Brennan School of Healing came in during a really uh, difficult time in my life. You guys both know I fell off a porch. I hit my head on a driveway, and I had a really bad concussion. And it was rocky for a little while. And then some doctors call it delayed onset, where you're kind of rocky, 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 and then boom, I really flatlined. So for
Wow.
about 2 years, I was off the grid, and I went to about 10% functionality for a while, living in a dark room, and saw all the best doctors out there. Harvard Neurology, Johns Hopkins, Columbia University, and it was really dark. Kids were growing up. They were about like 11 and 9. Um, and then after we exhausted everything, my wife Amanda came across the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, and started reading a book called Hands of Light. We started doing some practices there, and long story short, I started healing really fast.
Wow.
So I just enrolled in the school because I don't want to stop learning about the modalities. I kept on growing with the energy in the spiritual world and having just beautiful experiences. And yeah, I found my passion, which is just to help humanity and the earth continue to light up from within. Um,
Yeah.
and that's where Shine Your Light came from. So it's all kind of just coming through, and
Thank you, brother, for sharing your
yeah,
light.
yeah,
Wow, thank
thanks,
you for creating this beautiful program.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, Stacey, if you're comfortable, you can share. If not,
Can I just say
Yeah, I
real
don't.
quick, thanks, Gil, for
Yeah.
sharing that, because personally, I feel like we talked about it a little bit, but I didn't have like all the context, and and you said it in such a beautiful way, with like being like
Sorry, Jules.
brave.
We can't
and-
see all of you, and your voice got kind of low.
Sorry, yeah, yeah. So I was just
Okay.
saying thank you for sharing, and
oh, thanks,
you said it in
Jules.
such a beautiful way, and brave and vulnerable and open heartedly. So I just wanted to say thanks for sharing all the story. Thank you.
Thanks, Jules.
Thanks, Gil.
A New Jersey hug for the Jules
Yeah.
in California.
Oh, ow! My cat just like grabbed my arm when you said that. You're not included. Sorry, cat. Oh my god.
Oh wow.
Sorry, that really hurt. Ow. Um, my story is not as interesting. So, I
Everything you say is
Not,
interesting.
not sure about that. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
well, I also had some health issues that I wasn't getting the answers I needed. And so and I was always interested in energy healing. I'd studied Reiki. It was COVID, and this opportunity to study either online or in person came along, and I thought, my daughter was still young at the time, also, and I just, for me, it was sort of like, well, why not? What else am I going to do during
Mm,
COVID to
yeah.
start with? And of course, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but it's just been amazingly transformative. And, um, I feel I was really led there by my soul,
Mm,
because in the first couple of years, there was so much resistance. Like, what am I doing here again? And it just dawned
mm,
on me one day that, yeah, my soul led me here. There was always some other force that was kind of just pushing me along, just being like, it's okay, just calm down. This is where you're supposed to go, kind of.
Yeah,
mm, mm.
that's beautiful, Stacy.
Yes.
And you just exploded into such a beautiful, powerful energy healer. So you're just changing so many lives just by existing.
Thank you.
Mm,
Glad you see it that way.
mhm. That's so true.
Jules, how
Yeah,
did you
I
end up at
just
BB?
I wanted to mention that. Yeah, also, I mean, I think it would be honest to say that you're also a very great healer. And maybe it's not for you to say, but for people who receive that gift, it does change a lot of lives, like Gail says. And whenever you're gonna encounter new people, they're gonna be transformed because you're carrying the light within your heart.
Oh,
Exactly.
thank
Beautiful.
you.
Well said, Jules. So what brought you to BBSH, and what was happening in Jules' life before we met you in year one?
Oh, wow. So for me, yeah, it's kind of a long story. I don't know. I feel like I've always been drawn to the notion of healing and the notion of learning on this planet. And so I'm since I'm a kid, I'm basically always thinking in the back of my head, like, I don't know. There's a reason to learn, and we're here for a reason. And so I'm just feeling like this is the next later step of all of that. But
Hmm.
if I take it way back, when I was a kid, like 8 years old, I was talking to my mom about like spirituality and reincarnation and angels, and she was really open to all of that. And I was kind of like basically going back to my own bedroom, and apparently I told her like, oh, but I want to see my guardian angels too. I was like super stoked. and but
Of
but but
course.
but then I went back in my room, and I actually saw a guardian angel. And that is like something that I don't people might think I'm crazy, and it's okay because you can only speak from your experience. but I literally saw like a red glowing kind of energy sphere, and
Mm.
basically it was I think it was an angel, and it talked to me and said, I'm always gonna be here to protect you, you know. And I was 8 years
Mm.
old, and I'm like, whoa. So
Wow. Wow.
so I went back to my mom's room and I told her the whole thing. I was like, this is what happened. I'm so happy I saw that. And she right away, she was like, oh, that's beautiful. That's so
Wow.
wonderful, my son. And that was like opening a portal, maybe
There
talking
you
about
go.
portals again, you know, to
That's
something. And since then, I've always felt connected to,
Hmm.
you know, higher energies, like you said, Stacy. Like, you know, you something's pushing you to go there, and so you went to
Hmm.
BBSH. And same for me. And same as Gil, I actually saw this book that was kind of like the door into the portal. And I think I was at my chiropractor in LA, and he had this book, and he was like, oh, you want to learn about healing, and you should start by this one. And he just shows me Hands of Light, and I was like,
mm.
what? You know, it's like the voice inside of you, like you realize something's happening important in the movie, you know,
Hmm.
of your life.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a key scene right here, you know. And so I'm
Oh.
like, okay, I gotta go there. And then it took me always like, you know, it takes a while because your ego is kind of criticizing, and then you have all the reasons not to do things. But when you
Hmm.
know, you cannot know. And so I was like, I have to go there. And so I enjoyed. I didn't finish the 4 years, unfortunately, but I really, really loved the first year, and it transformed my life forever. So it's,
Wow.
you know, I felt I was following my instinct, maybe. And same thing, we can get into that later if you want, but same thing happened more recently with my ayahuasca experience in Brazil. And so
Sure.
that was a similar thing, you know, basically, when you know right away where you should go, but
Hmm.
there's resistance. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a beautiful uh, share. Thank you for that. You know, the powerful portal that opened up at 8 years old,
Hmm.
and the
Became,
connection.
yeah, meditation after that, you know, learning new forms of staying in touch with the, you know, the inner love realm of, whether it's the angels or your higher self or God or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's not,
Mm,
it doesn't matter what we believe in, but there was a strong faith implanted in me, and that
mm,
never went away. Some kind
Mm.
of faith that it's for a good reason that we're here,
yeah.
some kind of faith that it's all going to be okay. You know,
Mm.
I can't even explain what in words, but it's a faith
There's
that's
more.
it's all going
There's
to
more
be
than
okay.
I can see. Yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm. It's a
What'd you say, Stacy?
I said there's more to life than what we can see, you know, with our
yes.
eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, yeah. That, I think that's why the scene in the Matrix has, you know, kind of like shocked so many viewers and talked to them within, because it's the red pill or the blue pill. You know, if you start imagining that this world is all fake and construction of the mind, or like basically the Matrix, you can all of a sudden you're like, well, yeah, it's just because there's the other side too, and we got to check that too. We can't stay focused in the 2D. You know? Check the other realm.
Oh,
I don't know.
So
I'm just
did,
joking around.
did you?
hey,
So sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh, you first, Stacy. Look at that
Well,
smile. You're definitely going first.
um, so speaking of transformative, Gil and I were chatting the other day, and he was saying how he really used to love Larry David, the
Uh-huh.
comedian,
Yeah.
before he had his concussion, and went on his way to healing and having the spiritual evolution. I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's how you would say it, right? You've had sort of a spiritual
Yeah,
thing, or
I guess like kind of like a transformation or an evolution, maybe. Just yeah,
yeah,
just yeah, a lot has happened.
You've seen a
yeah.
lot, it seems. You've seen a lot
And
of things since
so
I met you.
I'm just curious, we were talking, and because he mentioned Larry David, and I was like, oh, I cannot stand that guy. And he's like, oh, I love him. And he's like, oh, but you know what? I haven't really listened to him since before I had my concussion. I haven't really like watched him. I'm like, well, you should watch him now, like, because now you've had this awakening. I wonder if your tastes are changed, So I'm just curious, Jules, if there's anything like that in your life, that you're like, oh, I love this kind of entertainment or this kind of thing in my life, and then you had this big kind of awakening or opening when you did ayahuasca. It seems from what you said,
Yeah.
maybe you want to talk more about it, or if there was like something that really shifted for you.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's really a matter of one thing. If you simplify, I start simplifying and then go into details, but it's all coming down to joy. That's what I kind of take away from that. Why joy? Let's dive into the story of joy. Why is it so key and important? I guess it's that I think as kids we come to this plane, to this dimension, and we kind of I feel like it's obvious that most kids state is joyful initially. I feel like there's this kind of like natural purity of being birthed into this world, born here, and you kind of, okay, sure, you cry in the beginning when you're a baby, but then you're pretty blissful as a baby, right? And so it's basically a big cleanse of all the years of layers and layers of the ego and the programming of the society and people who told you do this or do that or don't, or
Hmm.
the super ego, as they call it, that kept like putting layers over your pure joy. And the pure
Right,
joy
right.
was the initial state. So I think if you look at it this way, the my ayahuasca experience was really a cleansing, and I felt like it removed so many layers that I jumped back in time. I was like, oh my god, I'm back home. I'm picking up my bass and bought a set of congas, and I just like have fun with percussions and stuff. And I'm like, and I'm so joyful. I'm like, that's why I love doing music so much. I remember I'm like a teenager again. I'm like, and I'm back in that, and I'm like, wow, I haven't felt this feeling in like 12 years. And so after the,
Wow.
the
Wow.
ayahuasca trip was like right back into the inner child world. It's like, whoa, hee that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened.
I'm not even sure what ayahuasca is. Is it like a pipe you smoke? Is it a pill? Is it a
Yeah,
mushroom? Do you
okay.
swallow it? Like what is the substance?
I'm really not an expert, but from what I know, it's basically a cooked beverage from two main vegetables. It's a liane. Shoot, how do you say in English?
So
A
is
vine.
it, so
It's
is
like
it,
one is a vine. I think that's the English term for it. And so it's like a long vine, and the other one's a plant native to the
okay.
jungle. And I forgot their names exactly, but it's the blending of two plants of the forest. And for some reason, the compounds and what happens with the chemistry inside of it is only possible with these rare two. It's like super unlikely to the odds to find these two meeting, and somehow they got the message through the forest spirit, to do that. And so they received direct knowing that it would work, but it's very unlikely to have found it on accident. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Mhm.
So that's what
Wow,
it is,
that's
the drink. Yeah.
So you were invited or you found like a shaman, I think, right? And then
Hmm.
off to the ayahuasca adventure.
Yeah, yeah, I was invited through this girl, Lucy, um, Lucy Barinkova, who I really say hi to, and would send lots of love and gratitude. And she basically found me, I don't know, on Instagram out of the blue. Like, it's really little weird synchronicities, but she started following me, and she's like, oh yeah, because she's always doing these retreats basically, and she's looking online for souls and faces and friends that she would relate to. And so she's just like kind of searching, like browsing the billions of people on earth. And so she just found me, and she's like, oh, I think you'd be great for this retreat. I have a feeling, trust in
Wow.
your instinct. And she's like, yeah, I know you'd be a great person to have with us. And so I was like touched. I was like, oh, thanks for just seeing me or something. And so I got invited. And so the whole story is like I kind of had this long intuition that I needed to take a risk. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna say the whole story because it's like a long one, but basically I've been like on this path of from tarot reading to like next stages of life. I knew I had to take a risk, and then I had this long project for like 2 months in January, February that was supposed to happen, and and I knew somehow it's not okay. Like something's not okay. I'm too burnt out. Like I have to cancel this job. And so I basically sat on like 2 months of income and be like, I need to stop. I need to take a risk and figure it out. Something has to be figured out. I can't tell.
Hmm.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I have to cancel. Like I stopped the job. Like sat on my income and be like, okay, let's see, let's breathe, stop this rat race. Sometimes I get myself caught in a little bit of the wheel, the race, trying to make money in LA is so impossible, but yeah, paying the bills and stuff. So I'm like in this
I totally hear you.
yeah, and then I'm at this point I was basically like, okay, why did I do that? Why did I cancel this job? And literally 1 week after, I get another message from Lucy, who I started talking with, and she's like, oh, okay, now it's official, we're doing this retreat this date in February, and I think you should come. I'm inviting you, you should come over, I really have a feeling you should come. And it's the exact same date as the job I canceled. I'm like, no way. The universe, I don't know, the universe is always talking back. It's always a conversation happening with the divine or something. So I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, okay, I see you. I see you. And so I will go. But then obviously my ego and my fears and all my
Hmm.
insecurities back, and like, you can go now, you're sitting down on your money, and now you even need to pay a ticket to go to Rio and then to like this state of Acre. I'm like, oh my god, all the reasons of your mind, like blah blah blah, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I'm
Oh,
like,
so where was
just
the
do it anyway. That was in northeast Brazil. Northeast,
Whoa.
yeah, state of Acre, which is almost in the Peruvian level, but yeah, it's
Hmm.
close to Peru. And yeah, so that was kind of like how it came together, the invitation.
So yeah, that's you know synergistic,
Yeah, synergetic
synchronicities.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Synchronicity.
What would you say was like a highlight of your time there?
um, Um, well, the second ceremony, because basically we did 3 ceremonies in a week, which I think it's a little much. You could probably stop after two, or maybe I like to be measured, but they're super welcoming. It's a tribe called the Yawanawas, and the Yawanawa chief is this guy, that I really love now, called Isku Vakahu. And so he invited us, and they're like, "Yep, let's be super great host and do 3 ceremonies for our guests." And obviously, we pay them a little fee. It's like it helps build the village, so it's like it's really nice to contribute. But they're all on and all like very generous. Even if you pay a little fee, like they're extremely generous. So it's not even about that. It's like they
Hmm.
have us to safeguard their ways of living that have been really threatened, by most, the all the wars, in the 20th century with the white
Yeah.
conquistadors or all of that initially, and so now they're trying to rebuild their values, and the youth and the youngsters are actually finding it again. They learned the old languages again that were
Hmm.
kept by only the elders. They learn, like old ways that were lost, and it's being revived. There's this whole part of northwest Brazil, Amazon jungle, that is filled with different tribes that I met. Like not only the Yawanawas, but there's also the Huni Queen, there's the Ashaninkas. There's so many people that are rebuilding their grassroots culture, and that culture is so much older than us, has so much to teach us. And I think it's so important that people in the Western world go and hold hands with the lung. It's like the lung of the earth, as they say. The Amazon is our lung, and so we have to go back and learn from them. Is really what I'm feeling now.
Very cool.
And I think you were the one who told me this beautiful story of how the culture was in steep decline, and
Hmm.
some different villages got together. And I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
elaborate on that.
yeah. Apparently, especially the Yawanawa, that are pretty. They're not numerous. They were really on the verge of extinction, I think, in the 90s or something, and so.
The 1990s, right?
Yeah, 1990s, yeah, not that long
Wow.
ago. And the big chief, who's called Nishiwaka, he's the the father of my chief isku. I think he had 32 children, and he's been an extremely beneficial, how do you say, a steward of that land and of that tradition. And so he helped really. His whole approach was that he has to make peace and welcome the Westerners in order to
Mhm.
save their culture, and that totally worked. And they're one of the most welcoming tribes out there, because you hear sometimes about tribes that would be like hostile or they shoot
Yeah.
arrows at you or something. That's really not what the case there.
Well, 32 children.
Right? Yeah, isn't
Wow.
that crazy?
You'd
Yeah.
have to be friendly.
Yes.
That's a
Amazing.
lot of college.
Amazing.
You gotta sign
That's
them up for some 529 plans.
honestly, that's the rumor, and that's what they told me. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like you really found a beautiful. It found you.
hmm Yeah, it's
The
what
whole
people say
environment, the
about,
people.
and people say that about ayahuasca too. Like I don't know why, but there is a calling. That's what people say often.
So
And
yeah. So you. Oh, Stacy.
no, you.
Oh. So you said there were three ceremonies. Was it? Did you do the ayahuasca at each ceremony, or do you just take it once and then the ceremonies take place after that?
Every ceremony. So it's they usually do this once a week as background. And they basically did a super intense week where we did it 3 times, but they usually do it like it's kind of like a party, actually, if you look at it this way, which was really surprising to me. Uh, it's good to mention that people in Peru do it in a very different way. There's a more of a the Shipibo thing is actually what people think of when they think of ayahuasca, and they think of it like the Shipibo Peruvian way, which is like it's dark. You get into around shoot, sorry, I'm losing my English, but yeah, you get inside with this round house, you go in there, it's dark, and it's like very very kind of grave, like kind of I mean, it's intense and it's
Uh
heavy. I
huh.
think there's a lot of processing, and the way I experienced it with the Yawanawa in Brazil was way more associated to music and singing, and everybody's partaking and everybody's chanting together. And so I
Oh.
instead of an isolated, you have to process your own thing in a dark room full of strangers, it was more of a community bringing together. And but as at the same time, people sometimes need to process. So there's a big circle in the center, there's a fire, there's joy, and there's love. And then if you need to have go get the toughest grief for your life out of your system, like, yeah, you do that too, or you puke, or some people have to purge, you have to get out
Uh
and
huh.
just process things. So that, but always around the center and community. That's what I experienced.
And
Did you
then
puke?
you. Yeah.
uh
Sorry.
didn't know, actually. I was so happy I didn't. I did a lot of prep and like juice cleansing and smoothie and like really like and soups, and I think, I don't know, I was happy.
Do you
I
think,
came out to
Jules?
not have to purge. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you didn't, throw up.
Yeah.
From what I've gathered, just from other people that have taken it or people talking about it, do you feel as though, uh, depending upon where someone is on their journey, if they've been doing a lot of inner work and they're
Mhm.
started this awakening process, like and they've been kind of going through this awakening process, that the ayahuasca is just going to carry them forward. Where if they haven't even begun their journey yet,
Mhm.
that
Yes.
might start with the puking
Yes.
and just like a purging.
I could imagine that it would be terrifying if you're not equipped or you haven't done a little bit of work. I could totally imagine it's terrifying, and it could traumatize people the same way people tried LSD maybe when they're like, I don't know. I heard this guy who was actually just a teenager in California recently, and he tried LSD like in 16 years old or something, super young, and he was so traumatized that he never done it again. And that's
Hmm.
these things these medicines are powerful. And so I do agree with what you said. It helps to have some kind of background and some personal work done before, I think.
And when you say personal work, you mean like uh, going through challenging experiences in one's life,
Hmm.
kind of doing some inner healing for some traumas. Is that what you mean by
Yeah.
personal work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess it's not very clear, and also I don't even know. I'm doubting what I say. Who knows? It's open to everybody, But it's, I think, yeah, personal work. I mean, um, it might not be the right word, but you know what I mean. Like like some
Yeah.
kind of connection to a real space of groundedness. Whether it's like, people may be doing that with meditation, and they have a real safe, peaceful space that they can retreat to, or that could be doing a lot of therapy prior. I mean, a bit of therapy, or having experiences with other medicines, whether it's mushrooms or, cannabis, or, there's so many of them, like psilocybin, MDMA. There's more and more. The psychedelic therapy is becoming a thing, and so yeah, I think that can help too. I had some experiences with like prior medicines. I had tried mushrooms and LSD in terms of the psychedelics. And so I felt like I was in a bit of a known terrain in what happens to me, psychologically. And
And
maybe
you're inclined.
one last thing, but maybe doing your own research in your own way. Like recently, I saw a video on YouTube of someone who really very well depicted the 6 or 7 stages of psychedelic intensity, like action,
Mhm.
on you. And the more you go to 7, the more it's like completely you're kind of losing it, and you render like useless. You just have to like sit down and like process because it's too much to take. And it's something to know a little bit about, like where it can take you depending on the dose, and to have an idea. If you never had I think if you never had your mind altered, and understanding the power of these medicines, that's a little bit more difficult. Maybe it's what it is, and it could be coming through meditation even. It's not just substances, but you know what I'm saying.
Got it.
And being inclined to introspection, to
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That would be
if
very
you're
tough if you're
16, you're
not.
probably not.
Yeah, that's exactly probably what happened. Yeah, in that case. Yeah, because when you go in those spaces, you have to swim with the current. I feel like when you take a mind altering medicine or substance, and you go into this experience, you're gonna jump into a current, and the currents are strong. So if you swim against the current, you're gonna waste all your energy, and then you're basically gonna have a bad trip. I don't really think there's something as a bad trip. It's just resistance. It's,
Hmm.
bad
Are
trip
you
is just too much resistance.
Hmm. And
are
you
you
said,
comfortable?
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, when you're ready, I was going to ask Jules if you're comfortable sharing about your experience and swimming with the current and just some of the insights that you um, brought forth.
Under the force, as they say, of the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess before we jump there,
yeah.
Stacy had a question.
Yes.
Oh no, that's okay. Actually, my question's better for after that share. So
You sure? Because what's your
yeah,
question? Because it might take me a while. Okay.
you
What's
roll.
your question? No.
And I
Well.
also
No,
want to respect. I want to respect your time too, Jules. I mean, yeah, we
Oh
can
yeah.
go
Go ahead.
on. We can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
yeah,
know
give
that
us the highlights, and then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we would love to have you for as long as you're available. So you don't think that you have to be a hard stop at 40 minutes.
No, no, it's all good. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I'm freelance, so I'm like, yeah, my work can wait. I'll just later. It's all good. No problem. Uh, okay. So we're talking about what
Yes.
affects it, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, like your experience and going with the current and
Mhm.
some of the insights, and you shared a lot of beautiful things with me that yeah, I just
Mhm.
wondering if you're comfortable sharing
Yeah, well,
whatever you're comfortable sharing.
absolutely. Thanks for asking. The being first being the first thing to share is that a lot of people say that you're invited to a trip. Within when the ayahuasca starts acting. They call it aya. I don't really like to use that word, but it's like it's a personality. It's a feminine, like a divine energy goddess of the ayahuasca. And so it takes you on a trip, and so under the spirit of Aya, I was kind of invited, but not through the usual. A lot of people have the serpent invitation, with through the snake symbolic, because it's extremely powerful in the ayahuasca ceremony. The snake symbols. I was invited by my ancestors, I think. So
I remember you saying that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really interesting.
No, I'm wrong. Actually, now that I remember correctly, it was the snake first. The snake started appearing in the clouds for real. Like I was starting to see like okay, I was waiting for the effect. I drank it like maybe an hour before, so it took a long time for me to actually come up. And I was like, wow, I'm wondering what's gonna happen. And start looking at the sky, and then I see this face of a snake, and I'm like, whoa! And then like that was like actually how it started kicking in. And so I was like, whoa, that's creepy. Like, wow, hello, like hi, like giant monster in the sky. And then I'm like kind of like looking away, and I'm like, okay, breathe, it's gonna be okay, you're just tripping. And so I'm like, okay, let's say hi again, but with a bit better form this time. So I was like more respectful and like humbled by the apparition. And then it started giant laugh, like this giant smile, smiling a giant smile to me. And I was like, hi. Like, so all of a sudden
The,
I'm
the, the
mindset.
snake was smiling.
Yeah, the snake in the clouds again, but the second time I look at it, it has this giant smile on his face. And so I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like now I'm feeling we should dive in, like, so the world is not rushing you sometimes if you decide to take a second. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm all ready to go into an inner trip. And so they started sitting down, closing my eyes, went back to this little camping chair we all had around the circle. And it was outside, super nice little breeze. And then I close my eyes and I see to my right two giant figures, like a grandfather and a grandmother, um, both ancestors, super tall figures. And they kind of come to my attention and they're like, come over and basically take me by the hand. And so I followed them, and in my inner vision, so they sit me on the they sit me on in a kind of a console. I don't know how you say a console. When you have like a round of all the elders, like
Oh, like a
something.
council, right? Like
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah,
circle. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so they put me into a council with a lot of statues, and I don't understand really what the statues are. I'm like, oh, are they alive or are they dead? It's wood or metal or something. And I realize they're alive. Their spirits are alive. All their souls are alive. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay. And so they talk to me, the two and elders, my grandparents. They're like, no, you see, we put you there to be in company of all your ancestors. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm super humbled and kind of like want to tear up a bit. And I'm like, okay, so hi. And I sit down. And now they tell me, so look at, this is what we're going to show you, and kind of like show me a giant movie screen. And they're like, look, you can zoom out. And they zoom out of the circle, and it starts to change to become a spiral, and to kind of turn and turn and turn, like a zooming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize they're showing me all my ancestry, like all the generations of human beings it took to before. And so I was looking at that and I realized, whoa. And so they add to that, they're like, you
Beautiful.
see, that's you in the center, and look at how many generations it took to get you here. And
Beautiful.
really, really mind blown. And then it turned to a beautiful galaxy. And I just kind of thought, like, what's the conclusion on that? Like, what does that mean? I was so humbled by and touched. And I think, well, they didn't say to me clearly, but I guess they want me to try to really make the most of of life. Like really
Mm.
a huge amount of gratitude added into my system from that experience, because I'm like, oh yeah, every day. What are you gonna? It's like you're the center of this movie. It's like you. What are you gonna do with your life? It's kind of the message they asked me to show me all that. We all
Wow.
cared about you. You're like the last version of every generation after generation in this video game. You're the last one. What are you doing now in this linear time? And obviously, time is not linear, but but if you look at it this way, it's like the chronology, and then we connect with everything again, with future and past.
That's
Yeah, you're
beautiful.
the beautiful, right? You're the culmination
Hmm.
of all that ancestral.
And I'll
Um,
pass the baton too, obviously, because otherwise you get stuck into this kind of
Well, it's
self-centered
such a good
perspective.
reminder to all of us,
Hmm.
like how many generations, how
Yeah.
many people.
Exactly. Everybody has
Exactly,
this
exactly,
movie in
Stacy.
their mind. Everybody has this their unique version of this movie in their mind.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
You also said, Jules. So thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
It's such a powerful image. All of your ancestors, and they're there with you and sharing with you that
Mhm.
you're, continuing their journey, so to speak.
Mhm.
And then you said something. You brought something else up that we were talking about the other day, where you started writing and writing and writing, and relationships changed, and all these amazing inspirational things started coming out from that experience that you had. Yeah. Was there any other
You mean after
images?
you mean after the trip, or the changing relationships
You
after, or
know,
during?
yeah, yeah. So I guess during your experience, was there more after the spiral and the ancestors?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's see what in chronological order. I think the first there's three ceremonies. So the first one was a bit more of this. I'm describing the first one, and it was more of an acquaintance to the process and what it does, and kind of getting used to the effect. And I recommend anyone who wants to try psychedelic therapy to try with little quantities initially. So the first ceremony was
That makes
little.
sense.
They served less, we get accustomed to it. And then the second ceremony really peaked. Like it was way more intense, and I was a bit more into the knowing what happens with this effect. And it was so beautiful. The second ceremony was the best. Yeah. For example, um, we they brought this couple of singers from another village called Saku and Peu, and Saku was known to be an extremely powerful healer. And when he entered that day in the village, like so many people were hugging him and were like almost like like
Mm.
emotional to see him. And then Lucy, the girl who invited me, the organizer, she ran to him. She's like, Saku, and she like gives him a big hug. And this guy is just dressed like they're all dressed in their traditional jewelry, like bling bling from the jungle, beautiful colors, like amazingly beautiful. And he's just in a gray t-shirt and like a sweatpants. Yeah. And I don't know, he's just showed up, and his energy was so like almost like a saint, like somebody that's gonna heal anyone around him. And that's pretty much what happened. So that we had the blessing of seeing this guy Saku in ceremony. That was a awesome thing. And
I think my puppy's agreeing with you.
yeah, hey.
You woke her up with your special guest.
Yeah. And that one was a bit more mystical. I In the first day, the first ceremony, I had some glimpses of a very pure white light that felt to me like it was the source, behind the veil, like the divine source. And I could kind of like perceive it a little bit, but it was too strong. I couldn't hold it. Like it was just piercing little dots in the colors. I saw all these like kaleidoscopic colors and stuff, but through the little holes started piercing with like pure light that's way stronger than everything else.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't retake it. But the second time, I remember that experience, and I just laid on the floor, and I was super relaxed, and I started to be, after like 30 minutes of meditation and slow breathing and really getting comfortable. And then I was like, y- I'm ready. I started to see, in my mind, like something piercing through the veil more and more and more. And that was, it's really hard to describe in words. So I hope that, that can be somehow relatable. But it's just basically the veil opened, and I was in presence of this divine light, like for however long I could handle it, because it's impossible. So like you stay 5 seconds and you're like, whoa, like what's happening? It's like, so all of this was happening inside my inner vision, and I was feeling it. I was like shaking. I was, and some people, you see them, they're closed eyes, they sob, they shake, they shout, like everybody's processing stuff. So it's, it's powerful. But I was on the floor just like this, like, and I thought I was dead. I mean, in a good way. I was feeling like it's okay if I'm dead, kind of. I was like, huh, okay. All my muscles started relaxing, no movement. I started feeling a fly landed on my eyelid, and I was like, well, there's a fly on me. I didn't even like flinch. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess if I'm dead and it's how it ends, like it's gonna be kind of peaceful, it's gonna be nice, because in front of me, as I was in brackets dead, I was seeing this white light and all the energies of people singing in the room.
Mm.
All the singers of the Yawanawa and Saku singing together, they were creating this giant massive energy of love, and I could see it in my
Mm.
eyes, and it was completely just dancing in front of me. And then I was just, it all goes up, like a giant cyclone going up to the source in pure white light. And I was like, it's here, it's like the great spirit, and I'm blessed by seeing it, and I'm like blessed by even encountering it. And I felt so blessed. And then I was like, yeah, it's okay, like it's so humbling. It just, yeah, nothing else mattered than becoming part of our creator again, or us, or you, or me, or we're all it, and it's us, and it's love. It's big love. You want to go back to your loved one. It's the biggest romance that ever existed. That's
How long
God.
did that last, Jules? You said that was like 5 minutes, or
To be kind of in this blissful state.
mm.
Yeah, yeah. I had it, I think, 2 or 3 times over the whole ceremony. But what's funny is they have this. It's almost yin and yang. It's almost like Taoist, but they have this really nice organization between singing, fiesta, and all the songs are amazing because they start slow and then they build and then it's dance and everybody's ecstatic and the whole song is like 10, 15 minutes, and then silence, no clapping. They do like you, like they do some kind of like vocal encouragement, but they don't clap forever, and then it's done. Silence, and you're just bam, you're back on Earth, and you're like, oh, all of that happened, or was I dreaming? It's like, whoa.
So
So the
these are the
Wow.
people hosting it that are doing the dancing and the singing.
Yeah, pretty
What?
basically anyone, but the village like self-organizes itself, so like naturally you have like some people that are more prone to singing or have a better capacity, or they're more
So is
confident
it
in their
almost like
voice.
they're bringing the light in with
A
their?
portal. Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. And the shape of the Ishuku, which is
Whoa.
the room, is actually kind of like a pyramid. And so I now I kind of suspect personally that maybe the pyramids of Egypt were halls of rituals of like connection with the divine. So it might be just a hall like I was in. I was like in a hall made of wood, but it's like this, and they're all turning inside, and it's like shooting up this energy that's connecting to the cosmos. And yeah, yeah, I felt that big time. Like the connection from stars to Earth is happening through this particular room.
Wow, so I really like that you're not experiencing it entirely in solitude. You're with all these
Mhm.
other people, right?
Yes,
You're
yes. Oh
and
yeah.
that you say is,
Oh
is
yeah.
different than what people experience in places like
Go
Peru.
you advertise now, but go do ayahuasca with the Yawanawas, and in
Yeah, no,
Northwest Brazil, any of these tribes, it's a party.
yeah.
It's good. It's not
But I'm
scary.
I'm also curious. You mentioned when you first started out speaking tonight about this joy. Is
Mhm.
what really
Right,
keeps you. And I'm
right.
just curious. Have there been like fewer ebbs and flows of joy? Has the joy been sustainable? Like this was back in February, right? And it's now
Since then, you mean? Yeah. Since I'm back.
now it's July. Yeah, so that was a few months ago. Do you feel like
Yeah.
it's
It's definitely not staying as high as when you just get back from the village. No, it's realistically, um, like, yeah, like getting lost day by day after that, but not completely. It's just like, because it's so much, it's like a supercharge of something. And so I think it's like, it's obviously a lot when you do it. And so we're not meant to, as humans, to handle like so perfectly with like a full amount of bliss constantly, that's I think that's the role of angels or archangels or other beings of consciousness, if you believe in that. But as humans, that's not what we do. So we go back, and then naturally you kind of go back to a more, ups and downs and balanced
Right, right.
mundane life. But you can also, that's me, you can also not do that, like my friend Olivier, who's a fantastic, radiant human being. And he was like, yeah, every time I learn something, I'm going to keep going for a while. And he was doing his like 18th ceremony in the last couple of years, like something like that. He did like more than 15 times in a couple of years, and he's
Wow.
an amazing human and father, and yeah.
But do you feel like generally there's more joy in your life since
Yes.
being
No, I'm
there?
just yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to be like nuanced, but overall,
Love
it's
that
like
tale.
it's the best thing I've ever done. It's so you the amount of joy is palpable. You come back with a huge gift that you made to yourself. It's like a soul gift, and you have this giant package and you put it in your house, and you're like, that's what I've done. It's like, here it is, and
Exactly.
we healed, like just talking to your inner team, if you like accomplishments, but then it naturally kind of yeah, just recedes a little bit day after day, and it becomes more of a practice. I think, Stacy, I think it's all about practices, and you know that because you've explored so many of them and so many modalities. But
Mhm.
it's to me, it's becoming another modality, like Barbara Brennan would be. And so now I have my tools. I have some eye drops from the forest. I have hape, which is something with tobacco that you snuff. That is a very powerful medicine too. It's another sacred one there. So I do it and I reconnect, and it's trying to keep the teachings alive and carry it in your heart forever. And some things never go away. So you add it to your list, obviously, of very, very, very important things you did for yourself in your life. It just never
That's
goes
great,
away.
Jules.
Do you think if you didn't have access to those things, would you be able to kind of conjure them energetically?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm okay. I think so. I think I wouldn't right now, but I know you can. And so because I'm kind of maybe lazy or something, I'm just like, I like working with tools, and I like having my tools. And so all the
Uh,
substances that I'm using as medicines, there's a few, like cannabis and sometimes mushrooms. I don't abuse them, like, every 6 months or a year or something. But it's, sometimes a little cannabis, sometimes a little hape from the forest, and all of these things that help me are tools. And they're there's also, yeah, for anyone who's interested, there's something called the Eight Circuits of Consciousness, by which was invented by Timothy Leary. I know the guy was controversial, but he invented a very interesting model of consciousness circuits. And so, yeah, you move around them and you understand a bit wider perspective. So I see them as tools, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
hmm And I hope to try to do less of that, actually, because just to feel a bit more healthy. And I think if you go what you're learning maybe with the Kundalini yoga these days, and there's a way to get there without the substance. That's for sure. Yeah.
Mm.
and
That's
then
so cool.
yeah, that's so great.
Whatever
It
floats your
definitely
boat.
sound. What's that?
Whatever floats your boat, I would say.
It sounds like a rocket ship, though. You can really blast off there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you keep
Um,
putting different things in the engines, like all this, all that.
so coming through the ayahuasca experiences, with the ceremonies, the three ceremonies, and then you said that you started writing. You wrote, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 pages
Yeah.
of different things that came.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole journal of this entire trip, including the travels and anything else aside from the ayahuasca ceremony, and plus the mystical experiences and some drawings and some visuals and photos and notes from the trip. And it's in French.
Okay.
But I actually, because I wrote it for my family initially back in France, and but I had a lot of American friends who were curious about it, so I actually told them try Google Translate, and it works pretty well. So if
It
anyone's
works.
curious, I'm super happy to share the story and share the link, and it's 35 pages of the story, yeah, on my website. hmm
Cool.
And then relationships, any coming out of the ayahuasca experience, were there some big things that changed, like right out of the gate?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny you ask that, but yeah, I feel changes in my romantic life too, and the hearts, the heart matters. I think there's something to be said about um, being more open to love simply. And so I just met someone recently who's so loving. I'm so grateful I met her, and I don't know. I feel like I can see her as I
Hmm.
see her now with the help of that experience, but I don't know if I would have before the trip.
Mm.
So it changed some
Wow.
things. Yeah, I think it
Wow.
opens to love.
Beautiful.
It
Mm.
really is beautiful, Jules.
Mhm.
Um, if you don't mind, I wanted to ask you real quick. You know, I know that you have other things to do and you're
Yeah, yeah,
creating
yeah,
music out
yeah,
there in
all good. No,
California.
don't worry.
You're good? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your producer's going to come pull you out. And,
No, no, no. I'm handsome.
so if you don't mind, I was going to go back to 8 years old, and you had this angelic experience um, that really opened up that portal, like Stacy was talking about. I was curious. Sometimes that really sets the stage for things to come in the future. Um, I wasn't sure if there's also something happening around that time period of being 8 years old. If there was
Mm.
any, you don't have to give any details, or but was there any type of challenges that might have
Yeah,
been
yeah,
circling?
yeah. The thing is, I don't really remember my childhood super well, and so I only have like impressions and vague memories. But my parents were definitely starting to separate at that time, and so I don't know exactly if that was the main cause. But yeah, some things were acting up, and yeah, I remember some fights between them. And one day my dad, who was never like this before, he never was a violent person, he just smashed all the how do you say, the plates, and the cups from the kitchen, like on the floor, because
Hmm.
my mom was like completely pushing his buttons. And I don't know, just stuff that some people see way worse things than this, and this is really not that much. But I think every child is sensitive, and so it was still kind of traumatic for me. And I yeah, I just I don't know exactly, but some stuff was happening. Yeah, to answer.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what else,
Well,
but
thank you
some
for
things.
sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Mhm.
I'm sorry that you experienced any um, trauma and family experiences, especially at that age.
Yeah, I was also pretty lonely, I think. Then I met friends later and they became so important, but at that time I was pretty lonely. And I think I was creating a world of I love Legos, I love
Mhm.
stuffed animals, but I had an entire world of trying to feel, surrounded by beings. And all my life I've always loved sea of people and crowds and concerts, festivals. I love being in a sea of people. so
Yeah.
so yeah, that was also the background maybe of that age, I think.
Mm.
And did that light that you saw, that angelic
Right.
connection, um, did you feel that or see that in
Oh yeah.
other
Oh yeah.
other times in your life?
Oh
At
no,
your
no, no. No. I know. I've never seen it again. I've seen other things, and I've had other encounters with things that feel very likely out of this world. It's obviously, you can always doubt one's brain, and because the imagination is very fruitful, but I've had this deep feeling that it was connected to the divine several other times. But no, I think this particular red guardian angel just showed up once to deliver his message, and that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I
beautiful.
tried to. I call upon him or her or it or whatever, but I can't. I call up and never really heard back. So you know,
It reminds me of The Matrix, one of my favorite scenes, circling back
mm-hmm.
to that,
Mm.
when Neo goes to see the Oracle, and then, she tells him what she tells him, and then he finds out later that he's told exactly what he needs to hear.
Right. Do you remember what
Yeah.
she tells him? I forgot that part. What does she tell him? I
Well,
forgot.
she tells him a bunch of things that don't end up being true, and then he says, "Well, why did she do that? The oracle was
Oh,
wrong."
yeah.
And who's the
I think
other beautiful man?
Morpheus. Yeah.
Morpheus.
Morpheus says, "She tells you what you need to hear."
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. Sometimes you need the opposite. It's the world of opposites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing the Matrix in,
Oh,
Stacy. That's
yeah.
always
always, always
The
welcome.
Matrix.
always bring the Matrix in.
Yeah, and Larry David.
Peace.
And Larry David.
Mm,
So Jules, thank you so much for sharing everything. For anyone that's listening, I think that if you're comfortable, just your music is so good, and just kind of plugging in your albums, the stuff you're working on, and how to get it. I mean, that the Red Soul X, I think is just I love it. I really do love
Thanks.
your music.
Well, that one's a project that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But that was a one-shot
Okay.
project that I put out. I think a collection of songs from like 2017 to 19. So it's pretty old already. It's before the pandemic. It's like another era, and that's called Red Soul Experiments. The name of the album. It's on streaming, and that was a bit more of my personal. It's like an album about a divorce because I was married and then I got divorced pretty young, and so it was an album to process that grief. um, and then right now I'm very in a very different mindset because I'm really trying to connect with the experiences of you know Brazil and joy and the, the good vibes, the party, I love like all these energies and like the disco and the funk and like all
High
these.
vibration, high
Yeah, yeah,
vibrational.
very more like more uplifting or high vibration. I don't know, something like that. And all of this is the new project, and it's called Edgar Everyone, and
It's called what? Say that again.
Edgar Everyone. So I mean,
Edgar
it's the last
Everyone.
name. It's like Edgar Everyone is like his last name, but it's my alter ego, and he's everyone. As we're all one, and so it's yeah, it's like a play on the ego self and the oneness self. So anyway, that's some background on it, but yeah, so this music is very different, and I'm really excited about it now. And so Edgar Everyone, and now I have a four-piece band, so they're all super talented, and I play live shows with them, and I'm actually playing tomorrow with the full band, and I'm super excited. We're going to a venue in LA playing the songs. Yeah, so it's
Wow,
live
That's
too. That's the live part. Yeah, that's it.
that's great.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
Upward and onward and
I
just
love that your
shining.
life is a party surrounded by many beings, a sea
Uh-huh.
of beings.
Yeah, so thanks for actually asking about that because I remember that the vision of this whole project is definitely the ideal version would be to throw in a giant party, and everybody everybody is like dancing and laughing and just like meeting new people, and like that's the party. And so I'm trying very little by little. I'm getting there to a point where hopefully I can make a music that translates this way. And now the songs are a bit more like 3-4 minutes, a little bit like formatted, which is
Uh-huh.
but it should be more like non-formatted and more of a live experience of like 45 minutes of fun or something. That's more the idea.
I'm pulling it up here. So Edgar Everyone, I think it's is this Shasta Lounge? Is that?
Yeah, that was one of them. That's one
Yeah.
single. The one
Who's
that
the
I would recommend is the latest one. It's called "Who's the Dreamer,"
Who's the
and
Dreamer?
that one's really a bit more about the ayahuasca experience. And yeah, this one's the recent one.
This is it, right?
Huh?
Nice.
I like this.
It's danceable. You gotta move. Like you can't not move. You,
You just can't
you
can't
have to move. That's it.
nice.
You get that. You get the vibe. You get the idea.
That is great. I'm looking forward to playing this.
Oh
Who's
yeah,
the Dreamer?
yeah. It's you.
Sounds great.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys. Yeah. So that's what I'm working on these days, and really excited to pour my heart into it, and also have these beautiful conversations because I'm so full of love, and I feel very grateful and so honored. So thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show, Jules.
When
Stacy,
what's your guys' plan for like a release? Like when are you gonna put it out in the world or create the episodes? Is it the monthly thing or is it like? Do you have any ideas?
we're still kind of making up the schedule, and just creating. We're creating
Yeah,
it, or
yeah,
it's being created, and we're going with the flow, right,
that's
Stacy?
perfect. My friend just started a
Absolutely.
podcast, and I can ask him some questions if you guys have some. He's super awesome. He's called Rex
Yeah.
Costello, and he I think he did that initially. He started piling up maybe 5 or 6 interviews, and then had some content to release, in a steady flow.
That's
And
kind of what I was thinking.
yeah,
Yeah, like have like a
gather
little
the assets.
library.
Gather the assets first, and you'll know when you're ready to move forward. But that's beautiful.
Cool.
New
Well, I think this
beginnings.
was a great one, a great topic.
Uh huh. Thank
Jules,
you.
Stacy, and I were just so
Yeah.
excited to talk to you, and aside from even just the podcast, just being with you, and you're just
Yes.
such a great person, a beautiful light. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
um, just spending time with you is awesome.
Next
And
time I come to the East Coast, I really want to see you guys in person. Let's get together, right? I'm planning a little trip at some point to the
I'm
East Coast.
counting on it.
Nice. Yes. Let's do it. I'm super down. I love your guys' energy. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll let you get back. It's California time out there. You're gonna do some more
Mm-hmm.
music and enjoy your night.
Okay.
Um, East
Cool.
Coast, it's what 11:11, I think, or
Um,
eleven
oh,
twelve.
oh yeah, we just passed the magic
Oh,
number.
11, 11.
We
Oh, boy.
just passed the angel number. I don't know what you guys think, but I think we did an okay job, because it's hard
Oh,
actually to do a
it
podcast. I think we don't have to edit much in the
it was
conversation.
tight.
Yeah, yeah, it's tight. We're tight band. Yep, we're tight band. I think
All
that's
right.
cool.
Hey, Jules,
So much.
thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and I can't wait to play some more of Edgar. Everyone,
Yeah, thanks.
it's a
Are
good
you
plug. We're gonna plug your content,
so down?
get it
Thank
out there.
thank you so much. Are you planning to? No, you're not planning a trip to the West, girl. Are you at some point?
Uh, it's not on the calendar yet, but I do
Yeah.
love California so much. So if I'm out there, I'm gonna make sure
Okay.
you know about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I'm planning to go on a vacation after working a lot this summer, and so I think September I'm gonna take some nice time off, and so I think I might drive my camper up the coast, the West Coast, and so never know. Just passing the word if you guys ever want to take a little trip in September somewhere like Santa Cruz or just go to the sea on the west. I mean, I might be moving around, so that's
Ooh,
just
that
Wow.
sounds
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Hmm.
Thank you for the invite.
Maybe go to Shasta again. That's some place we could visit all of us. It's a very powerful vortex in Shasta. Have
Yeah.
you been to Shasta?
Really.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have you been there?
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful. There's a whole. Some people say there's a whole other set of beings, like dimensional beings, that live under it.
Hmm.
And they've been
Very
sending
cool.
yeah, yeah, there's 3 books on it called Telos, 1, 2, 3, and it was channeled by this woman Aurelia Louise Jones, I think, and she channeled a lot of teachings from beings, five dimensionals or whatever you call them, that are outside of our realm, but they communicated at Shasta, at Mount Shasta. So
Wow.
it's a very powerful place on Earth. Yeah.
Well,
Whoa.
that's where the truth lives in the Matrix,
Is
underground.
it? Oh wow. Okay. There you go.
True, true.
It's there. It's there. And that's some
Wow.
Shasta Lounge of Edgar. Everyone is. It's not about that. It's funny. It's more about a breakup. But yeah, it's funny. It's I guess I went on a trip to Mount Shasta with this girl at that time, and so it's about a breakup at Shasta, a bit more mundane.
The Shasta Lounge, is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
A
song.
friend. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, Jules, thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
Stacy, you're just the best for
Love
connecting with
being with you
me, and
guys. This is awesome.
doing the podcast together. I'm looking forward to just racking up, some more. And
Yeah.
Jules, we'll talk with you again soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would be lovely, my friends. I would love that anytime. So
All
let
right,
me know.
namaste, guys.
Here. Yep.
Enjoy the
Sounds
rest of your night.